Welcome back to Forza Horizon 5, and today we're going to be doing another diesel-swapped drift build. Now, this is the Dodge Dart Superstock, and it is found through a barn find. So if you're looking for this car in the auto show and you can't find it, that is why. Now, sometimes these things go up for sale in the auction house if you, for some reason, don't want to go to the barn find, but either way, there is the potential of getting this thing through a barn find, so I would recommend doing it that way first. Either way, there are, I'm sure, a lot of people out there that are going to be like, how dare you put that engine in this car? And you know what? I kind of wanted to think outside the box a little bit with this one, because I feel like, you know, I could build the V8 that's in there, or I could swap in another engine, but I was like, you know what? Let's go the wacky route. Let's go the strange route and throw in the 6.7 liter V8 turbo diesel, basically the 6.7 Powerstroke out of the F450. Now, our other options are the 6.2 V8, the 8.4 V10, the 6.2 V8 DSC, and the 7.7 V12. Like I said, I wanted to be a little bit more on the interesting side and go for the V8 turbo diesel. Now, we are obviously going to leave this one rear-wheel drive, and we are going to throw some race brakes in there. We're going to throw a set of, let's see, drift springs and dampers in there, and we're also going to throw some race sway bars in. Now, the reasoning behind the race sway bars is so that we can get it either a little bit stiffer or a little bit softer side-to-side wise, and that can actually go a long way to changing the dynamics of how the car grips up, which is actually really important when you're building a drift car. Now, I am going to go ahead and throw the chassis reinforcement and roll cage in there because I kind of feel like you would want it if we were doing this in real life, and then from there, I'm going to throw in a race clutch. We're also going to go with I'm debating back and forth on like the whole 10-speed transmission thing. I might just do an 8-speed and then we'll go from there, and if we need to add more gears, we will, but I don't necessarily know if that's something that we'll need to add. So a drift diff is going to go ahead and go in, although we will potentially mess with those default settings. And wheels and tires wise, I do want to go ahead and sort out the track width real quick. Let's go ahead and widen the front track, and the rear track looks a lot more mean now. And then in terms of tire compound, now, we could go for the drift tires. We could go for the drag tires, but I think I'm going to try and see what this thing is actually like to drift on a slick race tire compound. Now, for those of you that don't know, what we've been experimenting with in this game is we've been experimenting with what tire setup ends up getting you a little bit more points in either drift zones or in drift adventure. Now, the drift tires are really, really good if you want a really fun drift car, and I'm not at all saying not to get the drift tires. The drift tires are awesome. However, if you're trying to really fine-tune something to maybe squeeze a little bit more points out of a drift zone, or potentially squeeze a little bit more points out of a competitive drift lobby in drift adventure, this is potentially the way you're going to be able to do that. Some cars respond better to drift tires, some to slick race tires, and some to drag tires. So it's all down to like playing around with how, basically playing around with how the car responds. So I think in the front, we're going to have some, I'm thinking 265s, and let's see, what do we have in the rear right now? 215s? Dang, okay. So we could go for like a 265 front and rear, and that's what we're going to start with. Now, I know that that might seem like not much tire at all, and you'd be correct. I mean, for the amount of power that we're running, that really is not much tire. However, I really want to try to find a good balance between grip and slip, and so that's where we're going to start. Now, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can find... Hey, you know, these Titan 7s look incredible on this car. I know they're not really like the style of wheel that you would normally go with on a car like this, but I do think they look pretty sick. Oh, the Work in Motion T5Rs. I know that that's not like a typical fitment on a car like this, but there's like just something really cool about, at least to me, throwing a JDM wheel on like a classic American muscle car. I love the way that that looks. Now, we've got 14s on this thing right now. I think we're going to bump it up to, oh, the 16s look good. The 17s are definitely kind of about where it's at, in my opinion. Although, I don't know. I go back and forth on whether or not I would prefer, wait a minute. Was it? Oh, so it's 15s in the back. Oh, okay. Yeah, I want 17s front and rear. I want it like squared off. So now we can go ahead and build out this 6.7 turbo diesel as far as it will go. And I'm thinking that the best way to tune this thing is probably going to be probably going to be to try to keep the power band in between like 4th and 6th gear. Obviously, we have 8 gears, but I don't know how often we're going to be using the upper range of those gears. So let's go ahead and get all of this stuff done, and I'm really excited to see how this thing drives. I really have no clue how it's going to drive. Did we do a exhaust? Please tell me we did. Okay. How are we sounding? That turbo is very chirpy. I wish it was a little bit more of a spooly sound rather than like a chirpy sound, but it still sounds really, really good. So I do think that we should be good to go. And, ooh, we haven't actually messed with the body yet. I don't want to do that. And then as far as the rear goes, I'm not really worried about that. And then oh my god. Bro, that looks so good. The thing is, that looks amazing, but it doesn't fit the idea of having the 6.7 turbo diesel. This, or even this, actually, this fits the idea of the 6.7, I think, better than any of the other options. But, like, oh, that's such a weird thing to think about. Because normally I would totally have the blower sitting in the middle of the hood like that. But on this car, it just, or at least with this particular engine swap, it doesn't fully make sense. Now, on to the tuning side of things. Now, we're going to go for 45 in the front and 55 in the rear. Now, that's a baseline tire pressure setup that was recommended to me by my friend Mika Quinn, and it actually works really, really well as a baseline to kind of set your cars up from. So, at least in terms of drift cars, both for rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. Now, gearing-wise, I think I'm going to lengthen out the final drive, and then I'm going to, I think, let's make 3rd a little closer, let's make 4th a little closer. We don't need this thing to be running like 190 miles an hour, but we need the gears somewhat close. So let's see, that'll kind of be my baseline. Then I'm going to dial up the negative camber in the back to about 3. And I'm going to dial the front toe to like 1.5 and the rear toe to about 1. And I know that might seem, again, a little bit weird, but this is where I've been starting lately with my baseline setups, and it seems to have been working pretty well. Now, in the interest of grip, I'm going to be softening the front and rear sway bars a decent bit, but we'll come back and mess with those later if we don't like them. And now it's got our default locking setup at 93% on acceleration and 15% on deceleration. I'm going to bump up the decel to like 20, and I'm going to leave the acceleration where it is. So now we get to go and test this thing. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this responds right off the bat. And I think in order to test it properly, we should probably head down to the festival, because the thing about the festival is that there's a lot of areas around the festival that make it really easy to test. So thankfully, I've got the fast travel house, and we can go ahead and fast travel right here to one of my favorite sections, the Horizon circuit. Now, the Horizon circuit has a lot of great areas for drifting, and especially a lot of great areas to use to dial in your car, but I'm gonna go ahead and be quiet for a moment, and let's see how this thing drives. Holy crap. Okay, I don't know why the game kind of like froze connection-wise right there real quick, but I'll tell you something. We need to lengthen that final drive a ton. This diesel torque is like, man, we blew through every single gear all the way up to 8th. Come on. It's really smooth, though. It's smooth, it's easy to control. My big thing is, like, we need longer gears. And ironically enough, we need more rear tire. Like, we genuinely need more rear tire. I didn't think we were going to need more rear tire, but we need a lot more rear tire. And, oh my god, it's taking me back to the castle, isn't it? Dang it. Oh, facepalm moment. But that's okay. It's going to load really, really fast. But here's our... Okay, here's my fix for that. I need way wider rear tires. And I'm talking way wider. So, rear tire width, I got 265s back there right now. We're going to go up to a 305. I don't want to go... like too far too quickly. I don't want to go over the top. So, because it's also very easy to make a drift car too grippy. Now, you want some grip, but you don't want so much that it overpowers everything and ruins the drivability of the car, basically. So, let's head back there now and see. Well, actually, we're pretty close to some other drift zones. Let's see what we can actually do if we find a drift zone or two. Well, I'm back and forth. I'm so back and forth. What about this one right here? I'm good on that. Let's head right back to the festival. The festival seems like the best place to... What the heck? That's not the festival. That's a freaking town, bud. What the heck are you doing? All right. Now, okay, fine. The Horizon Mexico Circuit. We'll fast travel right there, and I think that this might be... Oh, sweet. We got a drift zone right in front of us there, too. Okay, so the grip already feels more positive. And I could definitely tell you that, okay, okay, too much pace. But let me see how far 8th gear winds out. Oh, God. All right, top speed's 140. That's not good. Like, not good at all. We need some tuning, and we need it now. Let me see. All right, this is all getting... 6th, 7th, and 8th are all getting dramatically lengthened. And I should honestly probably lengthen all of the others as well. Because after messing with, like, you know, all of these gear ratios, it's kind of clear to me that we did not set these up properly. And I'm fully willing to admit that. I just need to go ahead and fix it. Oh, wow. Okay, so it now stalls out in 4th. All right, so let's hit this drift track one more time. Maybe not even drift track, but just track in general. Oh, this is actually, well, get off the dirt, but it's actually pretty fun. It's still super easy to light the rear tires up, but, like, look, it carries its slides very, very well. It's easy to recover the slides, and it's easy to position the car where you want it. Now, we are still spending too much time in 8th gear, in my opinion, so that could use a little bit of work. But, I mean, man, at the end of the day, this thing is a blast to drive. There you go, not bad. That gearing still needs some work. I'm not too happy with that gearing still, but... Oh, man, we're going to transition right into the drift zone. Bro, let's go. Let's go. What? 54.4 right out of the gate? That's almost a personal best. My personal best is 55.9, but, like, man, this thing rips. And it's super predictable, too. I did not anticipate that this car was going to be... Oh, nice little drift tap. I did not anticipate this car was going to be this much fun. I mean, it is wild amounts of fun to drive. Bro, I'm going to add this car to the list of cars that are absolutely, like, incredible to drive with a diesel swap. But that's going to do it for this video, guys, and if you enjoyed it, please do let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I will see y'all next time. Talk to y'all later.